You're watching Teen Kids News. I'm Lila. We're all excited to be part of a very special anniversary. This is our 20th season on the air. More on that later in the program. But now, let's get to our top story. COVID upset our lives in so many ways. Yet, as Ava tells us, something good may actually come out of the pandemic.
During the height of COVID, many businesses were forced to close. Many of our parents lost jobs or had their hours severely cut back. Even with the much-needed government assistance, money became very tight. Families across the country found themselves struggling to pay their bills. When it comes to financial literacy, 2 out of 3 adults fall short. That's because so few of our parents learned about managing money when they were in school. But now that's changing. Last year alone, 25 states proposed legislation to add some form of financial teaching in high school. But just increasing teaching financial literacy isn't the whole answer. Too often, the information is presented in ways that fail to capture students' attention. And that's what happened with Bolin Lee, and he decided to do something about it. When you were in high school, a local bank came in and gave a seminar on money management. Sadly, it was very long and very boring. Tell us about that.
So we all got into this huge auditorium, and the bank have like this huge presentation. It's like 2-3 hours long. And if you look around the room, everyone was on their phone, texting each other, playing games. Like no one was paying attention to this 2-3 hours long presentations. It was just such a bad experience. And what made me realize there's a lack of better way of delivering financial literacy to young people.
Even in college, you found financial literacy was lacking.
Yeah, when I got to college, I started talking about finance with a lot of friends. And then I realized, it's not just a problem for me, it's actually across everyone, that they didn't really have a good experience growing up learning about financial literacy. And we were all, super curious about this topic, but there's literally very little resources that deliver this information in a concise and a way that our generations like to learn.
So, you started a company called Zogo. How is Zogo different from other apps that teach finance?
We don't teach with long articles, long videos, or any of that. Like we break down these very complicated financial concepts into very easily digestible and easily understandable modules that takes like 1 to 2 minutes. And the coolest part about the app is it actually pays you to learn these modules. So every time you complete one of these bite-sized modules on the app, you can earn pineapples, and you can later redeem these pineapples for rewards. So it's really, a gamified experience, and people are learning and earning at the same time.
What's the best financial advice you can share with our audience?
I think the best financial advice is to invest in yourself. To really, whenever you spend money, think of it as an investment, and you want that investment to be as much on improving yourself as possible. And by doing that, I think you avoid a lot of the stupid purchases that, we, the young people, often make.
Gotta ask, how did you come up with the name Zogo?
When we started the app, we wanted to only target young people, like 13 to 18 years, so like people our age, basically. So Zogo kind of came from this concept of like go Gen Z, like Gen Z go. But then once we launched the app, like today, we have people like that are 70 years old using it. It's really across the age range.
Love that. That's great. Thanks for talking with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Studies show that most Americans, 78%, live from paycheck to paycheck, and that's not a great way to live. So the more you know about managing money, the more likely you'll be able to make good decisions that may give you a far brighter financial future. For Teen Kids News, I'm Ava.
We've got lots more coming up on Teen Kids News, so keep watching. We'll be right back. It's time for Make the Grade. Here's Christin with this week's advice.
When you think of a family trip, you probably think of amusement parks, historic sites, or natural wonders like a national park. But there's something else you might take in on your next trip: a college tour. While this is usually something high school juniors and seniors do, it doesn't hurt to visit some schools, even if you're still in middle school, especially if you happen to be visiting a part of the country that takes a lot of time and money to get to. If there's a college or university you've heard about in the area, ask your parents if there's time for a side trip. Go to the school's website and check their schedule. Many colleges have tours throughout the year, and they're free. The tours are usually led by students who have lots of inside information about campus life. You're never too young to take advantage of what I call the 3 V's of college prep. Visit, so you get a feel for the area. View, so you see what college life there is like. And visualize. See if you can imagine yourself as a student there. And here's one more V: vary. If you don't wait until the last minute to start checking out schools, you'll be very happy when application time finally rolls along. I'm Christin, here to help you make the grade.
There's something fishy with a lot of the sunscreens on the market today. Many of them contain chemicals that are harmful to sea life. When you swim or just shower, those chemicals rub off your body and build up in the ocean. In addition to killing coral reefs, they're endangering the entire food chain, from lowly green algae all the way up to fish and dolphins. It's recommended you avoid sunscreens with the chemicals oxybenzone and octinoxate. But, a word of warning, you can't always trust products that call themselves reef safe or reef friendly. While they may not have oxybenzone or octinoxate, they might have other chemicals that are harmful. If you want to have fun in the sun without damaging the environment, you need to know what lotion won't harm the ocean. So before you buy sunscreen, go online and research what experts say are the best brands. For Teen Kids News, I'm Reese.
We have to take a quick break, but don't go away because Teen Kids News will be right back. This important message is brought to you by the National Road Safety Foundation. They want you to keep your hands on the wheel, your eyes on the road, and your mind on driving.
I really miss having fun with my friends. Hey Gabby, do you want to go to the movies?
Definitely. And let's see if your sister can come.
Okay, I'll text her. Now I can't even walk, let alone run the bases. Gabby, I am so sorry.
The NRSF produces lots of helpful videos. To see more of them and to find info on driving safely, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the National Road Safety Foundation.
The tallest structure in Washington, D.C. isn't a skyscraper. It's a monument to a man called the father of our country. As we all know, George Washington served as commander-in-chief of our nation's military during the Revolutionary War. In 1789, he became the first president of the United States. At his funeral, Washington was remembered as being first in war, first in peace, and first in the hearts of his countrymen. That's why it's fitting that the monument to Washington sits right in the heart of our National Mall, pretty much midway between the Capitol to the east and the Lincoln Memorial to the west. The original design called for a building to circle the base of a tall obelisk, but to save costs, the building was eliminated. Enough donations were raised for construction to begin in 1848, but 36 years would pass before it was finished. That's because work halted when donations ran out and the Civil War began. When construction finally resumed, workers had to use granite from a different quarry. In fact, if you look closely, you'll see the stone actually changes color about a third of the way up. When completed in 1884, the Washington Monument soared a record-breaking 555 feet high. It was the tallest structure in the world, and held that title for 5 years, until the Eiffel Tower was built. The monument is hollow, with a stairway and an elevator crammed inside. Windows at the top offer breathtaking views of Washington, D.C. Encircling the monument are 50 flags, one for each U.S. state. And unlike most American flags, these fly 24 hours a day. In 2011, an earthquake caused major damage. It cost $15 million to repair. Half was paid by the US government. And incredibly, the remaining $7.5 million was donated by one person, billionaire David Rubenstein. Thanks to a special law, the monument is the tallest structure in the city, overlooking everything else. Since George Washington was our first president, it's fitting that his was the first memorial to be built on the mall. And judging by the millions of people who visit it each year, the Washington Monument is certainly one of the most popular. For Teen Kids News, I'm Sebastian.
Here's something really cool. Ice cream may be helping to fight global warming. Here's why. Most ice cream uses milk or cream from dairy cows, but these cows have a rather unpleasant tendency. They burp, and those burps contain methane, a greenhouse gas that harms our environment. In fact, cow burping is the second leading cause of methane. Fortunately, scientists have come up with a solution. Add red seaweed to the cow's diet. It makes their burps pretty harmless. And that's the plan at Ben & Jerry's Ice Cream. Give their cows red seaweed and help save the planet. Utterly brilliant. For Teen Kids News, I'm Brendan.
Still ahead, we look back. As part of our 20th anniversary of Teen Kids News, we'll stroll down memory lane with another former reporter. We'll be right back. News for teens delivered by teens is the mission of Teen Kids News, and we've been doing that for 20 years now. Here's another one of our team who contributed a lot to the program over the years.
As teens, we know about mood swings, but what you may not realize is how much the mood you're in can affect the decisions you make.
Hi, I'm Scott. I was a reporter on Teen Kids News, and I started doing that when I was about 12 years old until I was about 18, so 6 years. My mom and my uncle were both in broadcasting, and one day they called me into the TV room and they said, "Look at this." And Teen Kids News was on the TV. And they said, "Isn't that a great show?" And I said, "Yeah, what fun that looks like." And they said, "Well, what do you think? We can figure out how to get you on there." And so the rest is history. I think one of my favorite memories from being on the show is going to the Baltimore Aquarium for a story. And they took us around and showed us everything, and it was really nice. And then they said, "Do you want to go meet the dolphins?" And I said, "Sure." And the trainer was there, and she had the dolphin come out of the water, and I actually got to shake hands with it. And that's probably still one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. Of course I miss it. Oh my goodness, and at the time, you're doing it and it seems, there's a certain day where you go, God, this is tough. I'm not going to get this. Oh my God, we're going here. It's 100 degrees outside, whatever. But you look back and you go, when the heck would I ever get an opportunity to do the things I did and see the things I saw and talk with the people I did and work with the people I did? And, it's an invaluable experience that is hard to even put into words, but I'm so grateful and thankful to everyone in the Teen Kids News family. So yeah, I miss it all the time.
It's time for another short break, but we'll be right back with more Teen Kids News. So stay with us. In their day, they were the highest expression of art. towering edifices built of stone and glass. They were the cathedrals of Europe, and among the most awesome are the cathedrals of Spain. Buckle your seatbelt, Nicole takes us on a whirlwind excursion in this episode of The Rain in Spain.
Our first stop is in Toledo. With its needle-like spires, intricately carved figures, and pointed arches, the Cathedral of St. Mary is considered one of the finest examples of Gothic architecture in Spain. And if you thought the carvings on the outside were impressive, wait until you go inside. The man responsible for creating this amazing wall was lucky he had 4 sons with very special skills. 2 were architects, 1 was a sculptor, and the 4th son was a painter. It took the talented family years to complete this masterpiece. What's particularly special about the wall is the way it's lighted. A giant window is strategically placed to allow the morning rays to illuminate the sculptures, making it look, as some say, as if the figures were ascending to heaven. But the pride and joy of the cathedral is this 500-year-old monstrance. A monstrance is a vessel containing the bread and wine Catholics use during communion. Standing 10 feet tall, it's made of more than 400 pounds of silver and gold. And not just any gold, but supposedly the first gold brought back by Christopher Columbus. No surprise that the glass case is bulletproof. Spain's most famous explorer has his own place of honor in a different cathedral. And that takes us to the city of Seville. Not only is this the world's largest cathedral, it's the 3rd largest church in the world. If you're wondering what's the difference between a cathedral and a church, it's not the architecture, nor the size of the building. The simplest explanation is that a cathedral is a church that is home base to a bishop. So while all cathedrals are churches, not all churches are cathedrals. Our guide is Carmen. She's from Seville's Tourist Bureau.
We are in front of one of the biggest altar pieces in all the Christianity, all around the world. Okay, it's almost 400 square meters that we can see over here. 44 images about the Old Bible and the New Bible. We have to imagine that normally in the 16th, 17th century, not many people know how to read or how to write.
That's why this altar wall is nicknamed the Gold Bible. The images helped those who couldn't read to recognize important biblical stories.
Now we are on the tomb of Cristobal Columbus, okay? We got some controversy about Cristobal Columbus' body. Why? Because at the beginning he died in Spain, but he was buried in Santo Domingo, okay? When United States invaded Santo Domingo, they moved the body to Cuba. But what happened at the end of the 19th century, when Spain started to lose all the colonies in Cuba and South America, they finally moved the body of Columbus to Seville, where we can find the body today. Why we got some controversy about the body? Because in Santo Domingo, they still say that they got Cristobal Columbus' body. Okay, we can have one part of body in every place. He made the Spanish Empire one of the biggest empires all around the world. It's the reason that is so important, Columbus over here.
When he died in 1506, Columbus was only about 54 years old. Next stop is in Cordoba. Officially named Cathedral of Our Lady of Assumption, this church has a rather unusual history. You get a first hint at that history when you step inside. The forest of multicolored arches almost hypnotizes the visitor with their seemingly endless symmetry. So if you think this looks more like an Islamic mosque than a Catholic church, you're right. It once was a mosque. When the Spanish reconquered Cordoba from the Moors, rather than tearing down the mosque, Spain's Christian kings simply added to the incredible building. They even kept what's called the mihrab. This type of wall is sacred to Muslims. It indicates the direction of Mecca, the direction they're supposed to face when praying. Our last stop is in Barcelona, for one of the world's most controversial churches. This is Sagrada Familia. It means sacred family. And if it looks rather gaudy, maybe it's because it was designed by an architect named Gaudi. He started remodeling the cathedral back in 1883. Gaudi died before it was completed. In fact, it's still under construction today. It's expected to be finished by 2026. As for the controversy, some love the design of Sagrada Familia. Others think it looks like a building that has escaped from an amusement park. Email us and tell us what you think. For Teen Kids News, I'm Nicole.
Well, that wraps up our show for this week. But we'll be back with more Teen Kids News next week. See you then!
Here's a shout out to PR Newswire for including Teen Kids News on their big screen in Times Square, New York City.